Cars were invented in Germany. That the USA was the biggest market for cars in the world for decades. How did that happen? Mass production of cars happened in the USA. Ford Model T was the first car made on a factory assembly line. Before that, cars were handmade. The Ford Model T came out in 1908. Despite that, cars did not become that popular in America. Things changed in the 1950s. During World War II, factories in the USA were only making items needed in the war. Everything was rationed. All efforts were going towards the war. When the war ended, those factories had more free time to produce all sorts of products. Soldiers were returning from the war. This period saw America's economy expand at a breakneck speed. The World War was over, but the fear of war was not gone. The US decided to spend large amounts of money to expand its highway and road network. Why? To make connectivity better, to make mobility easier. But there was another reason behind building the highways. This was the post-war era. They were afraid of another war, so that cities could be evacuated. If there ever was a nuclear attack on a city, the USA spent lavishly and built highways across the entire country. This had many other effects, planned and unplanned effects. Suburbs. One effect was the development of suburbs. In India and many other countries, suburb means outside the city. It means the area that comes between the city and the rural areas. The suburban houses are cheaper, connectivity is poorer, and facilities are inferior to the city. In America, thanks to the excellent highways, builders started making large bungalow complexes outside cities. In the suburbs, middle-class people could buy large houses and live comfortably. This wave spread throughout the country. These suburbs were quite far outside, so to buy groceries, go to offices, visit the doctor, and so on, people had to travel many miles. The roads were good. Petrol was cheap. Traveling was not a problem. And that is how cars became essential in the USA. In India, owning a car is considered a luxury. In the USA, it is hard to live life without a car. If you live in the suburbs, there is no other option. You have to use a car. Gradually, more people moved to the suburbs. Today, around 50% of the US population lives in suburban areas. The idea of a road trip was born in the USA. Families would get in their cars and drive off to far-off places. The side effect of this was that railway travel suffered losses, and its network did not expand. Many people are surprised to learn that the US's railways are quite poor compared to other developed countries like France, Germany, Japan, etc. The US has amazing highways. The country is massive 93 lakh square km, and its population is relatively low 340 million. So cars worked well for the USA. Over the decades, cars have become a part of American culture. Restaurants that you can eat at while sitting in your car, drive-ins, movie halls to watch movies while sitting inside the car, getting the car auto-washed while sitting inside it. All of these are inventions that came out of the American car culture. Jeans are worn by people across the world today. It came from the USA. McDonald's, Coca-Cola, Hollywood movies, music. American culture is extremely impactful. It has affected most major world cultures through movies, music, economy, fast food, electronic devices, and of course cars. The world has picked up on American habits and lifestyles. Somewhere, the dream of car ownership has become a dream for all. Yes, indeed, car ownership is not an American invention. That the widespread car ownership scene in the US did influence many countries of the world, including India. Cars in the US, EU, Japan. Many parts of the world adopted the same car culture. The cars also changed and adapted to suit local conditions. Cars in America are huge. They drive large pickup trucks, SUVs, vans, and sedans. Americans are not that familiar with the concept of hatchback cars. On the other hand, let's consider a developed country that has less space, Japan. It is famous for something called K-cars. K-cars are small and boxy hatchbacks. They are narrow and small, designed to navigate around the cramped streets of Japanese cities. K-cars don't work too well on highways. They are not aerodynamic, but inside Japanese cities, they work wonders. Suzuki Wagon-R is a K-car sold in Japan. Maruti sells a slightly larger version of it in India. Future in India. The US's population is about 340 million. India's population is about 1.4 billion to 4 times greater. Around 43 lakh cars were sold in India in 2022. Around 1.3 crore cars were sold in the USA in 2022. second biggest. Around 2.6 cars were sold in China in 2022, the world's biggest market for cars. Over 91% of households own a car in the USA. In India, it is only about 7.5%. India's car industry has a long way to go. There are some differences between the USA and India. India's population is 4 times more than the USA's. At the same time, India's landmass size is around 3 times less than the USA's, which means we just don't have enough space as Americans. We struggle to park our cars in cities. There are long traffic jams already, and highways are still being built. We are a dense country. We might not see car ownership levels that exist in the USA. Even in developed countries, like the UK, car ownership is lower compared to the US 77%. For now, it seems like the future growth of this industry is a given. But to what extent will it occur? At what point will the sales slow growth down? This is an interesting space to watch.